up today on Studio 13 Live. We're sitting down with Seattle Kraken business intelligence specialist Kendall Tyson to talk about her experiences as a woman in leadership.
Plus, we are trying some rosé wine, perfect for spring with Tomo.
Next, local author Christine Day is joining us in studio to talk about her upcoming book.
And West of Chicago Pizza Company is showing us how they make their signature pies. Studio 13 Live starts right now.
I wanna see you smile, take you another mile. Don't gotta wait, don't gotta wait, don't gotta wait today.
Hello. Thank you so much for starting your week with us today. We're so excited to have you. I'm Carly Henderson.
And I'm Mireya Garcia. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. And Carly, you were telling me you were up to some adventuring as well.
Oh, yeah, girl. So I went on a water taxi. I generally love going on ferries and all that good stuff, but you can actually take this water taxi between downtown and West Seattle. And I thought, why drive when you could ride on a boat? It ended up being such a beautiful day, especially later in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it was great. It was like $5.75 each way. I felt like it was a new experience, and just kind of trying new things like that, I feel like kind of makes it feel like you're traveling even within your own city. So it was super fun. Oh, that's my friend Elizabeth. We've actually traveled a lot together, and it was her idea to do it. So it was super fun.
That's fun. Does she live in the area then?
She does,
oh,
yeah.
That's
And
great.
she's actually leaving like the city. So this is one of the things she was wanting to do before she left. And we walked 5 miles that day too. We walked downtown to Capitol Hill and back and tried some new coffee, new food. It was really fun.
That is great. I love a little staycation, do something
Yes.
fun that you haven't done before. You know,
What did you get up to?
I had a lot going on this weekend, but it was like very like Friday heavy. So then
Yeah.
I got to be lazy later.
Yeah.
But you know, you and I both were hanging in Pike Place Market as well. We had a good time there. And then after our little hang sesh, I went on a little date with my husband there because we had the sitter. You got to make use.
You got to take
you gotta
advantage.
use it all up. So yeah, we had a great time at Il Bistro, which is also there at Pike Place Market. And then I went momming on a Saturday and visited a little park with my son there and my husband, and we had a really great time. And I love park day, even if it's a little chilly, because that ensures a good nap afterward.
Oh, yeah.
Girl.
Wear them out. Make them tired. That sounds so fun, too. Okay, so let's look ahead to some music festivals coming our way later this year. The lineup for Seattle's Arts and Music Festival Bumbershoot has been revealed. Regional artists returning to the stage include Sleater Kinney, Sunny Day Real Estate, and the Grammy-nominated Band of Horses. Other acts include Brittany Howard, AFI, The Revivalists, Jawbreaker, and Fatboy Slim.
And you know, this is actually the first time in 25 years that Fatboy Slim has performed in Seattle, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it is the festival's 50th anniversary as well, taking place in early September. We do have all sorts of info for people, including how to get tickets, on our website, fox13seattle.com/studio13live. Very exciting.
Yeah, I was looking at the website too. So it's a pretty affordable festival as well if you want to just go for the day, or you can go for the full weekend. But there's some great artists performing. I saw Matt and Kim is performing there too. I've seen them a number of times. They always just bring the most like high energy show ever. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I feel like there is no excuse not to catch some amazing live music this summer, no matter what kind of music you're into. In fact, we were just talking about this earlier, but you basically have to like pick, just, you know, financially.
Yeah.
You have to pick what is your favorite, who is coming ahead of time, because it'd be quite difficult to see absolutely everyone, but it's an exciting time.
Challenge accepted. So many good artists. Speaking of music, the 10th annual iHeartRadio Music Awards air tonight on Fox. Rock legend Lenny Kravitz is going to be hosting the show and celebrating the biggest hits of the past year while also spotlighting some new music. So some of tonight's performers include Pink, Coldplay, Kelly Clarkson, Keith Urban, and LL Cool J, a little bit of everything there. And nominated for Song of the Year is Taylor Swift for Anti-Hero, Lizzo for About Damn Time, and Harry Styles for As It Was. Who's your pick for that?
Okay, So I am a Swiftie,
Yeah.
but Lizzo's About Damn Time like buried itself in my brain and would not let me go. So I'm thinking that.
Yeah, all those songs were so huge this last year. I feel like Harry Styles, As It Was probably the biggest of them all, maybe second Lizzo. And then I feel like Taylor Swift is last, even though that's actually my favorite one. But I just feel like Harry's got to take it. Like that song.
You're a big
was
Harry fan,
everywhere.
girl.
I am, but I'm also like, is he going to be there? Because I don't know if you saw the photos this last weekend, but he was making out with Emily Ratajkowski in Tokyo.
What?
So did he fly back from Tokyo to pick up this award? I don't know, but a lot going on for Mr. Styles.
We got some questions. We got some questions.
Maybe I'll root for Taylor instead.
All right, well, another great, Adele is officially extending her Las Vegas residency, good news to me, with 34 more shows through November. She actually wrapped up her Weekends with Adele series over the weekend, and now she's taking a little break. She's gonna be back in June, and if you can't make it out to her show, extra good news, some of the upcoming shows will be recorded and released as a concert special, which I love to see, especially if they include some behind-the-scenes stuff.
Oh, yeah. And she is just such a huge personality. I've been loving all the different clips we've seen behind the scenes. We talked about like a couple of weeks ago when she signed a bride's wedding dress when they went there, and just so many sweet moments there. It's really fun to see. And what a good gig for artists performing in Vegas to get that residency too. I was looking and it's about $170 on average to go to see Adele.
Good, yeah.
So that's a lot of money. She just flies to Vegas for the weekends, performs, picks up a few $1 million, maybe more than that, heads back to where she's living. So it's a pretty sweet deal.
It is, and what I do really love about these for the fans is that it's not only is it more intimate, you know, which I think people really love to see, but the prices are a little more controlled. So, I mean, obviously you'd have to fly out to Vegas, which isn't necessarily cheap, but you're not going to get a lot of that, like, Ticketmaster fiasco. You're able to control the prices a little better and see a great show.
That's a really good point.
Yep.
Speaking of all of that, today is the first hearing for a lawsuit filed by Taylor Swift fans against Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation. So they claim that the company engaged in fraud, price fixing, and anti-competitive conduct. The lawsuit was filed after the ticket sales fiasco for Swift's Eras Tour, which we all remember all too well, no pun intended. It claims that many people who tried to buy tickets in November were locked out of online sales and had to wait hours for tickets. People say they were also charged outrageous fees. In a statement, Live Nation says they do not embrace deceptive and questionable secondary ticketing practices. And I say they're lying, because they definitely do. I mean, it's just so disappointing. You know, I think we know the feeling if you've tried to get tickets for any of these huge concerts this last year. You know, you save up your hard-earned money, you're waiting, you're like, okay, I'm deciding I'm gonna invest in this is gonna be the best experience ever. You're stuck spending hours waiting on there, you're charged all these extra fees, and then it doesn't even go to the artist that you would even not mind paying it to. It's just these like, all these, you know, Ticketmaster and all these like secondary sellers. So I'm really hoping that this will cause some change.
Absolutely. You know, and I think it's interesting to have that company stance, like we don't support this. And, you know, you can say that publicly, and you might even be able to point to a thing or two that protects people who want to buy these tickets from that. But the reality is that whatever it is that Ticketmaster is doing is not working. Whether they support these practices or not, they need to enact some legitimate change. And unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to take more lawsuits or maybe even the government stepping in, which we've already seen with some investigations. So I would strongly, strongly hope that Ticketmaster is going to enforce some sort of change. But, you know, I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, and it's not even the only class action lawsuit right now. You know, Drake's fans also have a class action lawsuit going right now because of so this is like so messed up. They released all these tickets, and you know, the ones that are official platinum,
right.
Which means you're going to be overpaying. You're going to be paying a lot more money. So Ticketmaster listed these tickets, people paid for them, and then the next day they added a new show for hundreds of dollars less. So it's just unfair. I mean, this is how change has to happen, apparently, and I hope that it does, because I want it to be a good feeling when we're buying concert tickets. I don't want to be feeling like disenchanted and beaten down or overpaying
the whole time.
Yeah.
Speaking of other questionable practices, Twitter is ending its free legacy verification program by April 1st. So this means that those blue check marks, which we have, will be going away. unless people pay for what is called Twitter Blue. Now, in the past, entertainment, government, news, sports, activist accounts, all were not charged for that verification mark. But under the new system, organizations will either need to pay $1,000 a month to have a gold check mark, so that's like major news sites, and then the government accounts will get a gray check mark. And well, I'm annoyed by this just in general, but a big timer who is really annoyed by it, William Shatner, has more than 2 million Twitter followers. He chimed in on this news, and Shatner tweeting, quote, "Hey, Elon Musk, what's this about blue checks going away unless we pay Twitter? I've been here for 15 years and giving my time with witty thoughts, all for bupkis. Now you're telling me that I have to pay for something that you gave me for free. What is this? The Columbia Records and Tape Club." Very, very cool. I definitely got a Columbia CD issue when I was a young girl. But anyway, so Twitter CEO Elon Musk did reply saying that he doesn't think that things should be different for celebrities. So what do we think here of this whole Twitter verification drama?
Yeah, he's saying, oh, this is so that everybody can be treated the same. No, it's not. It's to make money. It's to make money. And it's not free speech if other people are weighted more than others just because they can pay more money. I think it's ridiculous. And I mean, I think I've had this for 7 or 8 years. And so do I want to start paying for it now? No. And I don't think I'm going to. I don't use Twitter enough to be feeling like, oh, I need to invest money every single month and using the service when I'm not getting anything else. I know other people are saying, oh, you've had a 15-year free trial, you know, now it's time to start paying, but I'm not super interested in that. I feel like they're going to try to just make companies pay money, and they're hoping that they can make money that way, but I'm not into it.
Yeah, the thing that's really frustrating to me is that, like, could I scrounge up $8 a month? Absolutely. Sure. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is that some other person pretending to be one of us could pay $8, and then it looks like they are the official person, and that is super problematic, especially when you're a public figure, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not corporations, so I think that's super, super sketch. And if you're a business, somebody else could pretend to be your business. Like, I don't know. It really bugs me, I gotta tell you.
I'm not into it. Something I am into, wow, how about that transition? Traveling. So when it comes to traveling, everybody's a little bit different when it comes to how they plan. Some people are like to overly plan, and others are the polar opposite. And according to a recent report from the Wall Street Journal, both types of travelers have their pros and cons. Winging it can lead to surprises and more memorable travel experiences, but planning your trip through and through can also make things less stressful. You can fit more activities in. Which one are you, Mireya?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I will like over plan leading up to the trip, but like a month before I've had too much, and then I let whatever wasn't planned just kind of come at me.
I feel like that's a good way to be. Okay, so I used to totally wing it, down to like booking an international trip within the week.
Oh my gosh.
And it was fun, and I loved it, and it was great, and I feel like that's part of the enjoyment when I think back on those trips. That's part of what I loved so much, is that it wasn't planned, and I can't believe that I did that, because I would be like, I flew to Bali on a whim and learned how to ride a scooter in a jungle, and like found this amazing place to stay on the beach for $4 a night. And I feel like you can get these amazing deals, and it's just fun. But now I tend to overly plan. I like to make a Google Doc and know a lot of different options, because there are certain things like having a good cup of coffee, having a yummy like fruits and veggies every day, and nourishing meals that I would like to have access to when I travel, which makes me feel like so grown up and not, you know, spontaneous. But I mean, I feel better when I'm traveling.
It's okay, and I'm sure we could talk about this forever. It's a topic that I love, but still to come on Studio 13 Live, it is time to check in with TMZ for the latest celebrity news.
Yes, Jeremy Renner sharing an inspiring update about his continued recovery from a snowplow accident. So what he has to say coming up. And don't forget to join us this Thursday for a big show ahead of the Mariners' home opener.
Yeah, we're taking Studio 13 Live to T-Mobile Park to show you everything, merchandise, changes at the ballpark. We're gonna have a blast. Hey, it is time to take a look at what is poppin' in celebrity news.
And for that, we're bringing in Fabian Garcia from TMZ. Hey.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you. So let's talk Jonathan Majors. So he was arrested for assault. What can you tell us, and what's his lawyer saying right now?
This is a big deal. So over the weekend, a woman whom we're hearing is his girlfriend or a girlfriend of his is claiming that he hit her. Apparently, they were leaving a bar from Brooklyn, I think late Friday night, and in the cab, supposedly he was getting a text from another woman. She was trying to see his phone. He didn't like that. Again, this is all according to her. And she alleges that he slapped her with an open hand, grabbed her hand and like bruised her hand, and then allegedly put his hands around her neck as well. And then the following morning on Saturday, he apparently called the police. This is according to ABC. They got this information. He apparently called 911, said there was some incident going on with his girlfriend. When the cops arrived, she told a different story and said, no, he actually hit me last night. They looked at her. The police are saying she had visible marks on her face, and they felt there was enough evidence there to arrest him and take him in and book him, which they did. He was arraigned in front of a judge. He's facing assault and harassment charges due back in court in May. His team is adamantly denying that he did anything wrong. His lawyer is saying that he is, quote unquote, provably the victim. She says that they have evidence that'll exonerate him, including video footage from the cab driver himself. Not only that, but the attorney is also saying that allegedly this alleged victim has recanted her story. That's what she's saying. We haven't seen evidence of that yet. I have not heard this woman come forward publicly. And if there is a recantment, obviously we need to see it. I guess they'll submit that in court and we'll see how it plays out. But like I said, major deal because Jonathan Majors is a huge rising star in Hollywood. The definition of a rising star. He was in Creed. He's in the new Ant-Man movie. He is literally Marvel's new big bad guy. He's like the new Thanos. So he's signed on for several Marvel movies. And if this proves to be true in any capacity for him, I could see this derailing his career big time.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. A developing story for us here, and I know you guys will continue to follow it. Now let's talk Jeremy Renner. He's still recovering from that snowplow accident, and he posted an update on social media with some inspiring details. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is a much lighter story, thankfully. So Jeremy Renner obviously had that horrific snowplow accident at the beginning of the year in January, crushed over 30 bones. He had major reconstructive surgery and has been doing PT since. And over the weekend, he posted this video of him in this anti-gravity treadmill. Super cool. It looks like something out of the future. And in the video, which you can check out on our site, you hear him saying, oh yeah, I'm only using 40% of my body weight, which is incredible. So he's able to kind of get his legs going with 40%. And he's also posted footage of himself like on a workout bike and kind of getting his legs moved around. So he is well on the way to getting back to 100%. Very encouraging. And, you just love to see it because the guy is very talented, and we just hope he gets well soon.
Oh, Fabian, thank you so much. We really appreciate those updates.
For sure. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. All right, not too long ago, we told you about how Starbucks was introducing olive oil-infused drinks in Italy. Well, the time has come. The drinks have made their way to Seattle. So the Aliato drinks are now available at 75 select locations in Seattle. Drink options include the Aliato Golden Foam Cold Brew, Cafe Latte with oat milk, and Ice Shaken Espresso with oat milk and toffee nut. Starbucks says the olive oil makes for a velvety smooth, delicately sweet, and lush coffee. Are you going to be trying this one?
Man, Starbucks is really selling this hard, aren't they?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to trying it. I do know that some people, when we're talking about really high quality olive oil, they like to eat that with bread or eat it by itself, maybe some balsamic vinegar on it. So in that respect, I could see how this works. I would just love to learn a little bit more about the quality of olive oil that's being used here.
Yeah.
And if it's replacing any sort of ingredient or if we're just eating more fat for the sake of eating more fat,
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah. I feel like they should be giving out free samples for this because Starbucks drinks aren't cheap, right? I feel like typically I'll spend $6, $7, maybe even $8 for a Starbucks beverage of my choice. So I feel like before I would spend that on an olive oil drink, I'd want to taste it. Just a little taste. Give me a little taste to know how it is because I'm not sure about this. All right, coming up, Tomo is joining us in studio.
Yeah, we are trying some of their sustainably farmed rosé for spring and summer. We'll be right back. Okay, it is time for Seattle Sips, where we check out some amazing drinks in our area.
Yeah, and today we're joined by Rebar Nimi with Toma. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. So you're a small family-owned tasting menu restaurant in White Center. Tell us about it and tell us about the team behind it.
Absolutely. So we opened in 2021, excuse me.
So pretty new.
Our chef, pretty new. We opened during the pandemic. Our chef is Brady Williams. He's a former James Beard Award winner, formerly from Canlis, and prior to that he worked at a pizza restaurant in Brooklyn called Roberta's.
Oh yeah, I know Roberta's.
Yeah, it's great. And our team is really diverse. You know, our chef de cuisine is from Venezuela. Our pastry chef is from Taos, New Mexico. So there's a lot of influences in the food. It's really cool. We bring together a lot of seasonal ingredients, and our thing is really, we have big relationships with all of our suppliers. So we know the people who have our produce, we know the people who are fishing for the stuff you're eating on your plate, you know, and I think that that makes the food really special.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. So you do have a 5-course tasting menu. Tell us a little more about what that looks like and how it pairs with the wine.
Absolutely. So every night we do a tasting menu and we do wine pairings for it. And that tasting menu can change a lot depending on what's in season, how the chefs are feeling, etc. And what it looks like typically is you'll get some small plates. So right now we have some Dungeness crab rice to start with citrus and a Grenache Blanc sauce. Then we move into a sweet potato dish. You get a little bit of beans with some beef tendon and lardo. And we finish off right now with porchetta. So the tasting menu is really lovely at the moment, but it changes all the time. So that's not necessarily representative of what you're going to get when you come in.
That sounds awesome. And how big is your wine list?
We have over 800 different varieties of wine. But you know, we have some really interesting things, some really unique things. We also try to keep things pretty accessible. So we have over 200 different wines from around the world, under $100 in price. And the wine pairing is very reasonable too. You get to try really cool stuff and you don't have to commit to a bottle then.
Great.
Excellent. So we do have 3 of your 800 different wines. What are we trying today?
We have some really unique rosés that I think are perfect for spring. They have a lot of substance to them, so they're not just summer drinking wines. And at the same time, I think they really show off the kind of breadth of the wine we carry at Tomo. The wine that we carry focuses on low intervention wines and really small producers, but they're producers with a lot of history. So I'm going to start right here with Clos Cibon Tradition. This is from Côte de Provence in the south of France, very near to the water. And this is 90% Tibourine, 10% Grenache. Tibourine is a native grape to that region and pretty unusual to see. This wine is aged for a year in large barrels before it is bottled. So it has a really nice texture to it, a little bit of salt, a little bit of nuttiness, and I think is really fun with a lot of different food.
That's fabulous.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, a little bit of kind of like
amazing.
underripe strawberry to it,
Oh,
but you
I get
like
that.
kind of a complex, longer finish too.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
I love it.
This one has a different look to it, too. It looks kind of foggy.
Yeah, absolutely. So this wine, like almost all the wine at Tomo, is unfiltered and unfined. So that means it has no chemical process done to it to clarify it, to make it look clear in the bottle. So you really are getting like the entire grape in this case.
Okay.
And this wine is also unfiltered and unfined, and so is this one. But I think that just shows off that you can have a really traditional looking wine that's still really, really natural. All of these are organically farmed as well.
Oh, that's
Beautiful.
wonderful.
Let's give it a try.
So this is Limus Double Up Dawn Patrol from South Australia, Mount Gambier. And it is a blend of Pinot Noir and Sauvignon Blanc. I think this wine is super fun. It kind of reminds me almost of like a jalapeno margarita.
Oh, that's Mireya's
You
favorite.
have spoken my language.
I think I know what your favorite's going to be here.
I think so.
Cheers.
Cheers. So is this a little for like a warmer day in that case?
Maybe, yeah, but I think it can also warm you up because it's got some spice.
It does.
I
Oh,
dig
I
that.
love that.
It tastes so wildly different from the first one that we had,
know.
too.
Yeah.
Which is really
That's
interesting
wonderful.
because I think people really lump rosés together, but they can be so
Definitely.
individual.
Yeah, you know, the thing that you often, like I like to buy rosé at the grocery store too, but you kind of get a really consistent product there and it's not as like artisanal. And it's nice to every once in a while have a bottle of wine that is really different, kind of like opens your eyes and makes you think differently about what it can be.
All right, what's next?
Okay, final wine for today. This is Chateau de Arlay Coral, as in coral. And this is also from France. This is from the Jura, so It is in the foothills of the Alps in eastern France. And this is what I would classify as like a dark rosé or even trending towards a light red. This is a very traditional style of wine. It's a blend of all the grapes that they grow. Pinot Noir, Trousseau, and Pulsar, those are all red grapes. And then Chardonnay and Sauvignon, which are white grapes.
So I have kind of a dumb question for you. Is rosé always a blend? Is that what it is?
No, not always. Here I've bought 3 blends, but typically there's a lot of different ways to make rosé. You can press one grape really light.
It tastes more like a red wine.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
totally. I think this is a great wine for spring because you can have it with like a spring stir fry or something like that. It has a lot of body to it, so if you like red wine, you don't really like rosé, it's kind of a fun wine to have.
So you said there is a lot of accessible wines there. What's the most expensive wine you have on your menu?
Uh-oh.
If someone really wanted to show off, what could they spend?
I mean, you can spend upwards of $1,000 on wine at our menu. We don't really go into the super, super high-end classic wines because that, I think, is something you can get at a lot of restaurants around here that isn't as special, and we like to keep our wine list kind of like unique and focused. But we've got things that are very pricey. If you want to spend $1,000 on champagne, come to me.
Yeah, beautiful.
And any tips for getting a coveted reservation there? I know it's a pretty hyped up
Actually,
place.
we've got a lot of reservations available.
Do you?
Wonderful.
Yeah, and so I would recommend everyone to come in and, we typically open reservations for the month and the following month at the same time.
Fantastic.
So just keep checking.
You can plan
Yeah.
for those
Thanks
planners
for coming
out
in
there.
today, Reba. This
Thank
has
you
been
for having
great.
me.
You have such great style, too.
Oh,
It was the first thing we
appreciate it.
noticed when
Rosé
we came
cowboy.
in.
Yeah.
We've got more info on Toma up on our website, fox13seattle.com/Studio13Live.
Still ahead, we are sitting down with Kendall Tyson, the business intelligence specialist with the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, hear about what it's like to work for the Kraken and how other young women can get involved in sports. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. For Women's History Month, we are honoring the incredible women in leadership around our area.
And today we are joined by Kendall Tyson, the SVP of Finance and Business Intelligence at the Seattle Kraken.
Welcome, Kendall.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. I'm so excited to hear all about your job because it just seems like a dream job that so many people want. So you work in finance and business intelligence. Break it down for us. What does that mean and what does it entail?
Yeah, so for the Seattle Kraken, I oversee all of our accounting, our forecasting, and kind of everything on the finance side. And then on business intelligence, I focus on the business aspects. So you might hear things around Moneyball and kind of the analytics of the players. Not quite my area. I focus on tickets and sponsorship, food and beverage, all of those pieces, and how do we track and report how we're doing as a business.
Cool.
So you grew up as an athlete. Talk to me about how that portion of your life informs what you do now.
It's absolutely huge. I grew up in Minnesota, which is a very strong hockey culture. I always tell people, it's hockey in Minnesota is like football in Texas, right? It is everything that people are focused on. And so I grew up around the game of hockey, but growing up, I didn't see women in hockey. I didn't see minorities in hockey. And so I actually grew up playing basketball. As a basketball girl, I watched a lot of UConn, Tennessee basketball on TV. And so that really kind of shaped, okay, I see myself on TV and in them, so I wanted to play basketball. And it taught me a lot of skills, not just on the court, but leadership skills, cooperation skills, which I think really helped me in my role today, because not only do I have a passion for sports, but I also recognize what it means to be a leader of a team with different individuals.
Definitely. So how did you make the switch to hockey and what was that journey kind of like?
Yeah, so that switch came really by chance, actually. My brother had a chance run-in with Todd Lewicki at a skating rink down in Renton. And they made a connection and said, hey, you should talk to my sister. She works in sports, and I was working in golf at the time. And so met with Todd, and we had a great conversation about analytics and what he was trying to really build here in Seattle from the ground up and how I could help. And that's what helped me kind of make that transition, was the combination of my knowledge of hockey, but also really bringing the functional skills to the business.
So we're going to ask you to pull back the curtain a little bit and tell us, what is it like working for the Kraken?
Yeah, when I started with the Kraken, it was still NHL Seattle. So it was very early days and it's very much a startup. Not very many people get to build something from the ground up, especially a sports franchise. And so I think first and foremost, everyone really appreciates the opportunity that we have in starting something new because it is so, so rare. I think the other piece is it's an incredible place from a diversity standpoint. Diversity is really a core value of ours. And not only do I see us, talk about it, but I see it every single day, whether it's the number of women in leadership positions, the number of BIPOC people on staff and in full-time roles in particular. It really does kind of center into everything that we do. And that's really exciting. And then lastly, it's a hockey team.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun. We get to watch hockey during the day. We talk about hockey. And I think it's really neat to kind of bring your work life also into the community, right? So the things that I do on an everyday basis, I get to talk about with my friends and see them at the games and share those memories with them and their families as well.
That's so cool. I feel like I can relate so much to that with like our show, starting something new, women-led team, like
Very
just being with so many
exciting.
people. It's like very relatable. That's awesome. Do you have any advice for, women who want to get into sports?
Certainly. I think, one of the things is, if you have a passion for sports in any sport, whether it's gymnastics, golf, other things, there are roles for you. And I think that's really, really important to know. And anything that you're good at, right? Some people are good at writing. Some people are really good at math. That all of those different roles exist, and to not be afraid to dive into the things that you're really good at and combine them with your passion for sport.
So I get the sense that in fields that are not even or female dominated, there's always the sense that you have to work extra hard to prove yourself if you're going to be on the business side of sports. So talk to me about how it is that you make space for yourself and how other women should make space for themselves. Because, I can only imagine it's awful to walk in and people start quizzing you on hockey.
Yeah, I think, the way you make space for yourself is knowing what your skill set is and being really, really good at that. I think sometimes there can be pressure to be good at a lot of different things and we can kind of get lost. But women have superpower. We're very, very good at bringing lots of pieces of ourselves into the business, and it makes it thrive. And so I would say, know your skill set, know what you're really strong at, and just go for it. Be your authentic self. Because if you try to be anybody else, that's where I think it can get hard and you get tripped up.
For sure. Do you go to a lot of hockey games?
I go to a lot of hockey.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so exciting.
It's so fun. I've been to 2 Kraken games, and they were like 2 of the highlights of my time in Seattle so far.
go.
So you have such a dream job.
Thank you.
And lastly, I would love to hear from you. I think hockey in general is still considered a bit of a homogenous sport when we're on the ice. So talk to me about the importance of making sure that, Black and brown children get the chance to experience hockey and maybe one day be one of the greats.
Yeah, I think there's nothing like it, right? It's one of those areas where it takes work and it takes intentionality. And I think the work that we're doing up at the Kraken Community Iceplex really does speak to that, whether it's offering scholarships or modes of transportation. Lowering the barriers of participation is incredibly important. And everyone should get a chance to play such an incredible and fun sport. Whether they play it at the NHL level or they play it collegiately or just for fun, I think it's a really, really great game for everyone to be involved in.
Beautiful. You did a wonderful job, and thank you so much for joining us today. It was lovely chatting with you.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, coming up, we are chatting with a local author, Christine Day, about her upcoming book release this summer.
Yeah, and hear how her first novel was named Best Book of the Year from NPR. We'll be right back. From books like I Can Make This Promise to The Sea in Winter, local author Christine Day has won various awards for her youth literature novels.
And her new book, We Still Belong, is coming to shelves this summer. And here to tell us all about it is Christine Day. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today.
You have been so
in.
sweet. You are so excited to be here. We are so excited to have you. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we would love for you to talk to us about how it is that you fell in love with books and started writing.
Great, thank you so much. And books, reading and writing were always a huge part of my life growing up. My parents read with me a lot, and I had some really amazing teachers. My third grade teacher, Miss Guthrie, she had this really great classroom library, and we would get to, check books out from her. And there was this one book I remember I checked out from her so much. She eventually just let me keep it.
What was it? Do you remember?
It was a really campy mystery thriller book that was technically for teens. It was kind of an older book, but it was called Horror High Resolved You're Dead.
Oh my gosh.
And it was not exactly like what I write now,
Yeah.
but it was just one of those stories that for whatever reason connected with me a lot at that time. And I mean, I read really widely across genres and across different age groups and all sorts of things. Holes by Louis Sachar is another book that was really hugely influential to me in my career. And other authors like Jerry Spinelli and Gail Carson Levine, and there's so many amazing books out there.
Well, you're killing it writing books as well. You are now an award-winning author of books for young people. And your first novel, I Can Make This Promise, was actually named Best Book of the Year by NPR. That is a high honor.
Yes.
Tell us
Thank
about the
you.
message behind that book.
Thank you. So I Can Make This Promise is a coming-of-age story that follows this young girl named Edie as she kind of unpacks a family mystery. And it is really a story about her, growing up and learning about where she comes from and kind of who she is. And it's also really a story about a family coming together and learning to overcome generational trauma together. And that was it's been really great. I've had some really amazing conversations with kids and adults alike about that book. So I feel very fortunate to have had that be my debut novel.
Beautiful. So I think often where we come from informs what we're passionate about or how we like to, in your case, write.
Yeah.
You are, of course, a member of the Upper Skagit Indian tribe, and tell us about how that has influenced your life.
Sure. So my mother was a pre-Indian Child Welfare Act adoptee. And so in a lot of ways, I actually grew up feeling kind of disconnected from the Native community. And over the course of my adulthood and through, kind of connecting with especially the Native kidlit community and with other communities as I've grown up, that is really what I've learned is that that's a pretty common feeling for a lot of Native folks across Indian country. And basically, I've just really enjoyed and have felt really privileged to be able to reconnect and learn more about a lot of these histories and about how my family was just one of many that was really impacted by federal policies like that. And to just keep going and to kind of find resilience through that with my family and with other Native folks.
It seems like your books have such good messages and such good takeaways from them too. And I know you're working on a new book that's coming out this summer, right? It's called We Still Belong. What can people expect with that story?
So that story is set entirely over the course of Indigenous Peoples Day. I really like stories for young readers that take place over the course of one day because I think that for kids and teens who are experiencing so many things, often for the first time, a single day really could feel that big. Like that really can kind of make or break you. And basically, we follow Wesley, the main character, over the course of her school day and this intertribal powwow she attends, and she just goes through a lot and learns a lot over the course of this one big day.
That sounds amazing. And what age reader do you picture reading that?
It is a middle grade novel, so kind of ages 8 to 12, but really anyone who feels drawn to the story, I suppose.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's just, you know, so interesting how much a great teacher can have an impact on your life
Yes,
too. So it's cool to
absolutely.
hear about your journey from start to finish, even just within a few minutes here. So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. This has
Yeah.
been such a joy.
Yeah, keep doing your thing. We've got more info
you.
on her books up on our website, fox13seattle.com/studio13live. Okay, still ahead. I hope you're hungry because West of Chicago Pizza Company is joining us in studio.
Oh, that looks so good. We're going to learn how to make some of their signature pies. We'll be right back.
It is time for Emerald Eats, where we highlight amazing food in our area.
Yeah, today we are joined by Sean Miller, the owner of West of Chicago Pizza Company. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so happy you're here. So tell us all about West of Chicago Pizza Company and where people can find you.
Okay, so we're located in the Alaska Junction of West Seattle. We're at like 38th and Alaska in the Link apartment buildings. And what we do there is we do Chicago food. We do deep dish Chicago pizza. We do the tavern style pizza, as well as Italian beef, salads, and sandwiches.
That's awesome. Very Chicago. What are the most popular pizzas on the menu?
So the most popular one would be the original, which I'm going to make right here. It's got our house-made sausage and pepperoni and caramelized onions on it. And then second would be the super fan, which is just like a supreme pizza. It's, you know, got everything you could think of on it. And then the third one would have to be the meatball one, which is the Mama's
Meatball.
Meatball.
Ooh.
It's got meatballs, Mama's little peppers, ricotta, roasted garlic, and love.
Oh, that's always a special
The
ingredient.
most important one.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, you're going to walk us through some of the steps of making your amazing Chicago-style pizzas. So let's get started.
Yeah, so we start out, every pie starts out the same. It gets proofed in the pan, and we just basically press out the dough, form it up the sides, and then we add our cheese and our house-made sausage or whatever toppings you decide that you want on it, of course.
So the cheese on first.
Cheese
That's
on first.
interesting.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, this pizza weighs almost 5 pounds.
Oh my
my
gosh.
So you
Share
can't
with a
treat it
friend.
the same way as you would like a typical New York style pizza.
Yeah.
So we start out with the cheese first because
It's
if
all the cheese.
all the cheese, all the cheese, yeah. And so we do the cheese first, and then what we'll do is we'll bake it in the oven, and after we get done baking it in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, it'll come out caramelized, and the crust will be to the point where we're happy. And then we just cover it with sauce. One of the things about Chicago deep dish pizza is it's really heavy. Part of the reason it was actually created was because the blue-collar workers in the meatpacking industry wanted something they could put in their lunchbox that they could eat, and they wouldn't be hungry after 2 hours of work.
I didn't know
And so
that.
that was actually where this came from.
Okay.
And
So I think I know the answer, but in the eternal debate, New York versus Chicago, where do you stand,
Well,
my
if you're
friend?
asking me, it's Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, but the real question in Chicago is deep or thin. And for real Chicagoans, actually, the #1 pie that gets sold in Chicago is actually the thin crust, which is kind of
Really?
crazy. Yeah. Yeah, the locals in Chicago call it deep dish tourist pizza.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that, but it is delicious. You can't deny that.
Absolutely.
And you originally fell in love with this pizza starting with sports, right? So tell us
Yeah,
kind of how you
so-
got into
so
Chicago.
I've been a Bears fan. So in 1983, the Bears were pretty good. Since then, they haven't been as good. So this is where we would put it in the oven.
Okay.
And then with the magic of film,
TV.
here is how it would come out. And then when it comes out here, we'll just
Ooh, scoop it right
So the
on
sauce
there.
goes on top.
on top, and it's a
Okay.
thick and chunky sauce. See, with
that.
such a long cooking time, though, that this sauce will begin to evaporate. And
What's
then,
your secret ingredient with the sauce?
You know, my secret ingredient with everything is love.
Of course.
You know, like if you're not passionate about what you do, you can't make something really,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
I
And
gotta
so-
tell you, I've never seen a Chicago-style pizza get put together.
Yeah.
So this has been fantastic. Now, after this step, what would we do?
So after this step, it goes back in the oven for a little bit longer, and then by a little bit, I mean 20 to 25 minutes, and then it comes out and it's just done.
Look at that.
At the restaurant, what we do is we just finish it with a little bit of Parmesan and oregano.
Beautiful.
Just right over top.
Look at
So
that.
how long total does a deep dish pizza usually take to cook? Because I remember when I was in Chicago, it felt like a lot, like
Yeah.
45 minutes?
So it's
Something like
40
that?
to 45 minutes, right around there. And, you know, that's one of the things that customers, when they walk in, sometimes they come in and they're like, how long does it take a pizza? And I'm like, 40 minutes. And they're like, how in the world can it be that long? But that's just what it is.
Yeah.
There's no way to cook 5 pounds of cheese, sauce, and dough in less than that.
Yeah.
And have it be right.
I'd love to
So
try
I'm gonna follow
it.
This guy right here.
So for your customers who are just so hungry immediately, but they're willing to wait for your delicious pizza, do you have like some appetizers or something quick?
Yeah, so the deep dish takes 40 to 45 minutes, but everything else on the menu, I've made it so that it takes about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's
beautiful.
perfect. So something to hold you over there.
Exactly.
And you actually started in a smaller kitchen,
I
right?
did.
In
I
West
started in
Seattle?
a commissary kitchen on Del Ridge in West Seattle. And it was actually, the whole reason I did that was because I saw that Windy City Pie did that. And I was like, wait, you can do that? And so I did it because I'm not a rich person. I didn't come from a lot of money. And I wanted to start a business in a very volatile market, which is the restaurant industry,
Sure.
without a huge startup cost.
Yeah.
So
That's a good option
let's
for new
get
business
to
owners.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great thing though, because you had a dream and you went for it however you could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this our cheese pizza?
This
is that
is
right?
the cheese pizza, yes.
Oh, so excited.
My fave.
I'm gonna start jumping
Yeah,
in,
get
Carly.
in there, girl.
Oh my gosh, I
get this
cannot
one.
wait
And
to
do most
try.
people eat with a fork, or do people
know,
ever try to pick it up
So
and do the whole thing?
sometimes people eat with a fork, but at the end of the day, this crust will stand up. You can actually pick it up.
There you
You know,
go.
you see how deep it is, but it doesn't really fall apart. So
Oh,
there
look
we
at
go.
that.
It is just a layer, and I love it. That's my favorite. You won't be hungry after you eat this. for
No,
sure.
definitely not. Usually, so our large pizzas, I can eat about 2 slices and I'm full.
Yeah.
And 8 slices, so it's actually really great
So
to feed
share.
the family. So
I love
Yeah,
that.
no kidding. Fabulous.
Amazing.
Sean,
Great
thank you
job.
so much.
thank you so much.
This is delightful. And we've got more info on West of Chicago Pizza Company on our website, fox13seattle.com/studio13live.
Yeah, and-
Highly recommend.
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you have a restaurant or a bar and you think that we should feature them on the show, always let us know. Studio 13 Live at fox.com. We'll
Have a
see
good
ya.
day. See you tomorrow.
Bye. This was so fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna make your day. Yeah, I'm